their Ultimate Black Panther 6. I actually had to look at it. This is just as an aside, where when I'm reading a book, if I have to check the page count, I know that I'm not enjoying the book.
Yeah.
If I actually go to read an issue and I think that we're on the 4th issue and we're on the 6th, that means that I don't think a lot is going on. I actually was shocked. I'm like, what is she? 6?
6 is pretty high.
This is a trade? Like, really? Because it feels like things are almost, every issue to me feels like they're almost ready to get going. Like, almost going to go forward. And this one, you almost have it, and then it seems like you don't. Like, the cliffhanger actually is, we're not going to fight right now, and I'm going to walk away. That's what it feels like, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
Because we were looking ahead. I looked ahead an additional week to next week, and issue 7 comes out in 2 weeks. So they must be, like, really pushing this.
Yeah, I guess. But it's written by Brian Hill. Guest artist Carlos Nieto. Does a decent enough job.
It's okay. The art was definitely a little different, though.
It was different, but I didn't mind it. It wasn't like a shock to the system. It's a little more
just
cartoony.
Killmonger was a little weird. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But
a little bit, we'll talk about it. Color by David Coryell, letters by VC's Corey Petit. We start out where you thought that I kind of, now that I see it, I get it. You end up having a kid sick. Now, we already kind of set something up like this with that guy that Khonshu made teleport in and grab that other element, the opposite
vibranium
of vibranium that we didn't get. But you end up where a doctor in West Africa said, I've done nothing and can't do anything else, and goes away, and this kid is going to die, unfortunately. And then Khonshu just zips in. I don't know how he knows that this kid is sick. Like, the idea that he is able to sense this, and he's using that element anyway. But he goes in.
I guess he just figures everybody's sick. This town looks like it's
that is
shambles.
True. Like, it'd be funny. Like, randomly, he just pops into any place and somebody's sick. Exactly. He gets there. It's like, which one of you are sick?
Like everybody's sleeping in the bed, like in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yes, that would be pretty cool. Very comfy. I like that half of them are on one side and the other half on the other, so they have their feet right in their face.
Exactly.
Maybe they wouldn't be able to, wear Crocs. But you end up where Khonshu, he comes in, hey, the suffering, and what he's doing is gathering up pretty much, followers. He's going in, he's performing miracles. And seriously, if I'm this guy, right, who looks a little like Damon Wayans when I see him there when he's all surprised, but he's there. If I have a kid that is dying, and really seems like this kid's dead the next day, whatever he has, Khonshu, boom, comes in, puts his hands on the kid, there's a bright light, and the next day, as Khonshu says, he will be fine. I don't care that I'm following Khonshu. I'm in with Khonshu because I know everybody else is going to get sick. I need this. I'm not going to be like, oh, that guy just saved my kid, I'm out. It's weird. It's a weird play of like the idea that it seems like, T'Challa, Shuri are like, oh man, this is a bad thing. I mean, he is going around.
If you're going to follow anybody for any reason, this would be a good reason to do that.
And the play here, and we're getting this idea where we have Khonshu and Ra. The Khonshu and Ra we know are straight up, full out gods. This is a little weird because the idea of using this element, doing these things and going, it seems like
he's wearing like a Dr. Doom outfit.
Yeah,
almost.
Dr. Doom thing. And when I'll tell you, I don't look at them as godly when they're walking around as Joe businessman when we're not doing the thing. So you get this though, but everybody outside while Wakanda is, closed its borders as they always do, isolation. You end up where Khonshu's going and gathering up followers and people who are worshiping him because he is saving people. And like I said, I'm all for that. But he turns them into soldiers then. And that's what we saw in the last issue when you had that guy. But in the meantime, you go to T'Challa, who is pissed off. Now, he's pissed off about this other element. And he's pissed off that he knows that Khonshu has this bit and he's using it and they're raising things. They're trying to bring vegetation to all this, deal. And even then, Khonshu healing people might just be Khonshu healing people again. Yeah. But he ends up where they're raising and they're trying to vegetate Africa, things like that. So you end up where T'Challa's mad about it. And Shuri ends up saying, like, why are you mad? I mean, people are following him because he's healing the sick. And he's, making deserts into lush, farmland and things like that. And you end up where T'Challa says his power comes from that element. And this is where I'm going with everything being, but that just happened. He just got that piece, but still. He says his power comes from that element, Shuri. An element I know he doesn't understand because I don't understand it. Dude, you saw it yesterday. Like, why would you understand it? You just found out about it. You end up finding out in a fable told in a riddle. Like, why would you know about it? And you're not doing it. Obviously, he knows something. I think that what he's saying is that it could have, some bad effects. It might have repercussions, whatever the case may be. But still, T'Challa, you don't know anything about it.
But also, he's talking to Shuri, who I would argue is smarter than him. So he should have said, because even we don't understand it.
Or he should have said, because they only grabbed that little bit. He should have said, oh, by the way, Shuri, have you found anything out about this?
Because she would be the person that researches it.
She would be researching it. In the meantime, he's just sitting on his throne yelling.
His throne.
They don't know because I don't. Why aren't you down there checking it out? You were told a fable about it and the nonsense.
He's on his throne in his dress, like just sitting there.
Yeah, he's just there yelling, screaming. and the big thing of this, too, is that Shuri mentioned she doesn't like Killmonger. She ends up saying, and even then, we're 6 issues in, T'Challa ends up preaching about things. He starts talking. In isolation, we have allowed this. We remain in Wakanda. He walks among them. Why respect a king behind a wall when a god walks among you? And she says, you sound like Eric Killmonger. We don't know that because Killmonger has said like 7 words.
He's been in like half an issue.
Yeah, and then, T'Challa, we haven't really heard him talk that much.
Well,
I mean, this book is 6 issues in,
he's
right?
writing it knowing that we should know who he is, yeah. But not from the context of this book.
No, he's relying on us thinking, and basically it's like, he's talking
which
bullshit.
Are some of the problems I've had with this Ultimate Universe, or there's a lot of that going on. More, there's not much character development being based on the universe itself, but based on the 616 universe.
And again, we have some things I know that people, like to clap back at things, and that Ultimate X-Men is actually like a very unique book.
That one at least is different.
You know what I mean? It's trying. Yeah. It's trying. If it's not succeeding,
there are some elements where they pull in characters that you're like, why? Or they have the same names and all that stuff.
But that actually, to me, is more intriguing in another universe like this, where you do have like, oh, is that Surge? And is that the same? And you have to wait and find out. But
exactly.
It's relying 100% that we know Killmonger bad. That's it. But in this, he doesn't even seem that bad. Gets a little sexy in a minute. Because then you have, out of nowhere, Shuri's like, hey, what about that, Aurora? She's pretty hot. Hey, right? And he's like, I didn't notice. Damn, yeah, right. You noticed, please. And then she says, well, you should. Because it might sneak up on you.
That's a good line.
And it is. And the thing is, I actually, for some reason, when they're talking, because you're expecting T'Challa to be with, he's married to Okoye, and I'm like, oh yeah, Okoye, because like, hey, you and Okoye do this? Yes, my king, and he goes off. Then we get what I thought, and I'll be quite honest, I don't want to, mince words or whatever. I thought we were seeing Storm making out with another woman.
Yep.
But it was Killmonger. The art is like, I don't know, it seems almost like it was meant that way to try to throw you.
Because I can tell you what it is. She's wearing a puffy shirt, like in Seinfeld, Storm is, so it makes Killmonger's arms look smaller.
Yeah, the way
and then he has like leggings on too.
Yeah, it's just, and they're floating, doing their deal. So. I have expected Killmonger to come in and like, what the? But no, it's Killmonger and Storm. They're lovers. I would have thought they were. That's, and they just talk about, hey, it's great here, right? No, I don't like it. Killmonger says it's awesome. We don't have to hunt for food. We can close our eyes at night. We don't have to sleep on the plane. We have a bed, and we can make sweet love.
Well, those are all good points, because you definitely take those for granted just in modern society. You're like, can you imagine if you had to hunt for your food and you had
to hunt for your food, and if you go to sleep, you might get eaten.
Exactly.
Like the whole deal.
We have it pretty good.
Yeah, and their Storm is like, Killmonger, the comfort or whatever, and they're talking about it's actually Killmonger. It's more of Storm who likes it. I get that mixed up, but yeah. And then basically, Eric is kind of like, yeah, I don't know. And then Storm says, let's make sweet love. And now he's like, yeah, I kind of like that. That's the scene. Now, in this so far, we've seen things that we already know. And then we get, T'Challa yelling about, Khonshu. We saw Khonshu heals people. We already were told that, but we see it here. And then we get, hey, it's pretty cool in Wakanda. We have a bed, and we're almost done the issue.
Yep.
I mean, this is what this book has been. It is so slow paced. It's crazy. But then you end up having Khonshu talking to Ra. Ra says, I don't really need, followers. I don't need people to, praise me and things like that. I'm not like you. Look, I have a business suit on. You're looking like Dr. Doom. And he ends up like, Khonshu's like, no, I'm going to do this. And he says, this is the line that I told you beforehand that I like. He says, they do not know what it is or from where it came, meaning this element, even though T'Challa claims they don't. But then says, let them keep faith in their talking panthers. Let them see our legions grow. And I thought that was pretty cool because they are kind of relying on that. They're isolating while Khonshu's going and gathering up an army. And you see what the army's doing. They're going to go and attack this mineral refinery. And somehow it seemed that T'Challa knew this was up. And now this scene is a weird play. He comes swooping in. And I don't quite know at one point which side is what and having, but you know what? It's some of the only Black Panther action we've gotten since this book started. We don't get a lot of Black Panthers, so it's kind of cool to see him there. But he is going to try to at least save the people there, but he's going to blow up the refinery.
Yeah.
It blows up, and then as he comes out of the steel, Khonshu's standing there, and Khonshu blows it up. I'm telling you, there you go. T'Challa versus Khonshu. They are 2 feet away. I mean, 2 feet away. And you end up where Khonshu says, Wakanda moves to protect corporations now? And then Black Panther says, Wakanda stops terrorists. And you go back and forth of the freedom fighter versus terrorist, and then have T'Challa say, I didn't know a god was an activist. And then they punch. T'Challa kicks the crap out of one point. Like, kicks the crap out of Khonshu. Then he ends up doing one of my least favorite things where he gets his hands together. That doesn't make it more powerful. And he hits the ground and then walks away. I mean, at the end, legitimately, they end up where T'Challa says, I don't believe in gods. You think you're a god? I don't believe in gods. Khonshu says, very well, then I suppose we'll have a war. No. You have a fight right now. Take him out. What is T'Challa? Why isn't he going to attack him? And it seems like he won't. I think that T'Challa is, somebody will yell in the background, oh my God, my cat's in the burning refinery and I'll have to do something. I don't know. He's right there. He's 3 feet away. Take him out. Yeah. Take him out right now. But I don't think he will. So the actual cliffhanger for me personally is, why isn't he doing anything? Is he going to, I want to see the next issue to see like, oh, he let him go.
We ran out of pages, I guess.
I bet you the next issue starts with T'Challa back in Wakanda talking to Killmonger, Aurora, and
it won't be
Fury.
this. Yeah.
No.
They'll be gearing up for war. That's what they'll be doing.
He got away. Really? Because we had, the comms and things in. It looked like he was like 3 feet away and turned his back to you. Like, yeah, I know he got away. Nothing's going on in this book. If you like it already, I guess there's no reason to not like it. But I've been kind of tired of it for a couple issues now. Like I said, it's a guest artist, but the art's okay. And it's just that, you just have a lot of people talking about things a lot in this. And we're 6 issues in. We're a whole trade, pretty much. And not much has really moved a story forward. Again, where's the mole? Because everybody was yelling at me when I said that, oh, we saw the mole that attacked Shuri earlier. And no, that can't be the mole. It can't be the mole. That's what I thought. But the people are saying that can't be, that there's somebody else. I'm like, when are we going to get it? I don't know. Everything gets like
so
lost.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah. And another element that's the opposite of vibranium because, it makes plants. Again, maybe I'm just a dummy, but what would you give this?
What issue number was this? 6?
This is 6.
It's a 6 for me.
I'm a 5. Yeah. I'm a 5. I need more progression.
Yeah,
we said, from the most part, most people love the Ultimate Spider-Man. A lot of people hate the Ultimate X-Men. This just always kind of cruises in the middle. And what I always hear from people is, well, we don't have another Black Panther book. And this is kind of like a generic Black Panther book, but it's still that. It's just not enough.